In an effort to ensure investors are better informed, SEBI has enhanced disclosure guidelines for credit rating agencies. The circular lists parent company support, liquidity parameters, material events and historical performance of rating agencies as areas where there needs to be better transparency. Let's get a sense of the impact that this will have on rating agencies. Somasekhar Vemuri, Senior Director at CRISIL, now joins us on the show. Mr. Somasekhar, thank you so much indeed for joining us. Firstly, as I said at the beginning of this thing, that the aim is to make sure that investors get more information, they're aware of the companies that are investing in. But tell us, what are the implications that these guidelines will have on rating agencies and the companies that you rate?
Yeah, so clearly we welcome these regulations from SEBI, and they're intended to have enhanced disclosures around the rating process. Some of the aspects such as parent support, consolidation approach, and liquidity are aspects which are critical and core to the rating analysis, and enhanced disclosures of these aspects is going to help investors better understand and appreciate the rating drivers as well as assess them in their own analytics. Also, enhanced disclosures around some of the other aspects such as transition statistics and sharp rating changes will help investors in terms of getting a sense on the performance of the rating agency, the rating quality, and help them clearly discern the quality of the ratings very clearly. So in that way, it is something which is very, very useful for the investors clearly. And in terms of rating agencies, what does it mean? I mean, it will mean that there'll be more information which we will need to make available to the marketplace, and that is something which will be in the longer run better for the overall markets.
Good afternoon, Saira, joining in as well. On the specific point of, publishing the average rating transition rates, some of this was already being put out by agencies. So is this sort of just formalizing it and in some ways putting the ball in the investor court, saying that now if you choose to go with a set of ratings which have had a fair amount of volatility, then you hold the baby if something goes wrong?
So clearly, yes. I mean, quite a few rating agencies have been publishing their rating transition statistics, but the methodology may not have been uniform, number one. Number two, the time horizon across which these were put out may not have been consistent across all rating agencies. For example, CRISIL was putting out these transition matrices over a 10-year period as well as for the last 30 years, whereas some of the other rating agencies may have been putting it out for 5 years. Now, this SEBI circular actually standardizes both the methodology as well as the time horizon over which you are required to publish this, and hence enables an apple-to-apple sort of a comparison for the investors, discern the quality of the ratings very clearly, and make their own informed decisions.
Mr. Somasekhar, the guideline also says the rating action disclosure should also include a section on liquidity, talking about at least highlighting parameters like cash balance, and a bunch of other things. My question is, does it make a material difference to the rating action? Don't you anyway analyze all of this to come to a rating decision?
Yeah, that's correct. So as I mentioned, liquidity is something which is a core part of our rating analysis, which we factor in for all the entities that we rate, and hence it's something which is not new to the rating itself. But better disclosure of that is something which is going to add more information which is available to the investor, and mandating that actually helps the rating agencies in making sure that they are consistently putting this information out for all the entities which are rated. So it means that there will be more consistent information which is available to the investors.
So nothing changes, sir, in terms of how much importance or how much weightage you give to some of these shorter term liquidity triggers, because that was one thought that was doing the rounds, that maybe it will lead to greater divergence in the short term rating versus long term rating if liquidity becomes a more important trigger.
Clearly, we will keep evaluating and re-evaluating our own frameworks, but just the circular in itself does not mean that there should be more importance which is placed to liquidity or less importance. It is more about more disclosures which need to be made. One aspect I would like to highlight is the circular requires disclosure on sharp rating actions, and this is something which needs to be disclosed on the exchanges and depositories in if this information is available in one consolidated place where it is easy for investors to compare the performance, and they're able to very clearly make out the quality, pick out the good from the bad very clearly. So it may prompt the rating agencies to actually do an introspection in case there are very high level of sharp rating actions, and if that leads to refinements and fine-tuning of their methodologies or processes, and it results in overall improvement in the quality of the ratings, I think this circular is well intended in terms of its objective.
Okay, actually just an extension of that, then even the need for greater disclosure in, say, complex groups of the parent, whose support is being built into the ratings, or various subsidiaries being used, again, that's a disclosure issue. Nothing changes in terms of how that would impact, say, ratings of SPVs, particularly infrastructure SPVs.
No, clearly more disclosure will mean that the rating agencies also will need to be more clear in terms of how they are looking at ratings. I mean, just for example, if we were to rate a parent without consolidating a subsidiary, but when we are rating the subsidiary, we factor in the support from the parent, then there is a very clear inconsistency where for the subsidiary is benefiting from the fact that there is a stronger parent, but the parent, you are not impacting its profile on account of a slightly weaker subsidiary. So to that extent, some of these will be much more clearer and starker, and hence those kind of inconsistencies is something which cannot be done any longer. So it will make the rating agencies also take a much harder look in terms of exactly what they are consolidating and not consolidating, and where they are factoring in parent support and for whom, and clearer articulation around that. So it'll sharpen the rating analysis itself.
All right, just one last question, sir. On the counter view, everybody, believes that, of course, stronger and better disclosures from rating agencies is good for everyone in the system. But it's becoming fairly granular in the way SEBI is prescribing requirements for rating agencies, right? It's almost like they're running your business.
I mean, I think you do need more transparency around the rating so as to help the investors, and to that extent, more disclosures is the order of the day. And if that helps the investors have more confidence in the rating in the ratings process, I think that is something which is well intentioned.
All right, so we'll leave it there. Thank you so much, Anil, for joining us with your views.